Hey guys, John, you're on the JRB Tree Climbing channel, and I need to give you just a little bit more detail on the JRB Cinch, specifically on the details for creating a pole or stick to advance the hitch. And I'm going to show you a couple of options, and then we're going to go in the lab and we're going to build one from scratch. So recall, there are two prior videos. One is introducing the JRB Cinch, a secure cinch that goes around a tree trunk and is remotely retrievable, and a second one on advancing it with a pole. So let's watch that go on the tree in case it's new to you. The JRB Cinch is simply a buffalo hitch around a rappel ring. I've got a carabiner which can't get lost because it's connected with an umbilical tether, and that umbilical tether serves another purpose. It allows this to be remotely retrieved, provided that the line is free of any friction hitches or devices. So let's just see that go on the tree, and I'm going around the tree from left to right, and that's important because it'll affect the geometry of how we advance it. So there's prior video on that. Now here's the point. When we want to advance this, if I hook that tether and I go from right to left, it kind of binds up. But if I go to the right, it just opens right up. And that's just based on the way I tied it. If I tied it around the tree in the opposite direction, it would have been, everything would be the opposite. So to advance this up the tree, the first thing I do is break it by shoving it a little bit to the right, and then I can move it up the tree. And the details about this hook, this is just a painter's pole with something from the hardware store, and I showed you how, well, I have a super extendable version of that. This thing goes out to about 14 feet or so, and that's just a bent shaft from a paint roller on that stick, right? I also showed you this variant, which is also a painter's pole, and here I just put a hose clamp around a hook. I really like this hook, I really like this design, and so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how to take this pole. We're going to go in the lab and we're going to put that same hook on this pole. Now this is not a painter's pole, this is a hiking stick, and it's collapsible, and I really like that. It's just really light. It measures to about 50 inches. I might like it a little longer. I think 6 feet might have been ideal, but I'm going to work with this, and I'm going to use this one for my next demonstration of JRB hitch climbing. But first, let's see how we build it. And one more time, to advance this up the tree, I break it a little bit by pushing to the right. Get that where I want it. Bring it back down. Might have gone out of view there, but you get the idea. It's just this operation, and it's on the tree. You want to move it around the tree. You want it over here instead. Position it where you need it. All right, let's go to the lab. Okay, so here we are in the lab. Here's our JRB Cinch on my tiny little tree. And before we get to the business of rigging up our pole, let's take a look at this. So here's the hook I'm going to be using. In fact, I've got a couple. Got these at the hardware store. Just went to Lowe's and I was shuffling through the drawers. Anything which has got a U, which would be right here between the two shafts, pushing it up, and a hook for pulling down is going to do the trick. And so this looks great. I think what I'll do with this one when I'm done is I'll take off these two little tabs with a hacksaw and a file. This one wouldn't require it, but I think I'm going to go with this one just because I've had luck with it, and so that'll be what we do. But first I want to show you about how we attach this to the tree, because this, what I call umbilical tether here, if we make that too long, we're kind of fighting ourselves in that all of this height above the hitch we would be losing when setting it. So we don't want that to be too long. We want it to be optimally long to create a nice little V here above the two parts of the hitch. So I created this with 3 feet of 6mm cord, and it's more than I need. I originally tied it with a scaffold hitch, a poacher's knot on both sides. I've since changed this side to just a regular overhand bend. Actually, poachers would be better for my application because I don't remotely retrieve this. But if you do a remote retrieval, you're going to want this to kind of always fall into place. And so it falls into place better if it's just an overhand loop. So you get to, determine what works best for you in your remote retrieval. You might not want this end to cinch if you're going to use it for remote retrieval. The main point is I don't want this to be too long. We can dial that in to the right geometry. It can't be tight like a shoelace, right? But it needs a little give. And I could probably make this one a little shorter. And every inch I bring it down, I'll be gaining back in that the top of my pole reaches this high. Okay, so now let's get on with doing the attachment. Now this stick here is a walking stick, but look at this. It's collapsible, and it's just a couple of ounces, and it collapses down to that. It can fit in my bag really easily. Now again, this might not be the right choice for you in the sense that I will not be retrieving. In my hitch climbing, I won't be retrieving this with a pole, because if I were to pull on this, it'll come apart, right? So you might want a painter's pole if you're using it for retrieval. I'm only using it for setting. And so how am I going to attach it? Well, I'm simply going to use a hose clamp. I think that's looks like about a 1 1/4 inch diameter. It might be a little larger than I need, but that's okay. Let me drop that on there so it's in place. Let's grab the hook. Let's place it where it seems to where it wants to marry up based on this pole. That feels really good right there. And I will secure it with a piece of tape, and that'll ride underneath my hose clamp. It's a piece of gaffer's tape. You could use potentially anything. You could use electrical tape. You could use hockey tape, whatever you have handy. Black's a good color. Okay, let's bring this up into play. Again, this is all brand new. Where do I want the screw? I don't think I really want it. Actually, that would be fine. It would be fine for me to have it on the inside. And so let's bring that tight. The tip of that walking stick is rubber or some rubber substitute, so it gives a good amount, but we're not going to crush it. So that looks really good. All I'm going to do now is tidy that up. I'm going to take this out into the garage and get rid of these 2 tabs, and then let's go put it on a tree and make sure we can set the hitch. Okay, a couple minutes have passed, and that's about it. All I really did was head it out to the garage. I decided not to cut those off. I just bent them around the back. They do fine. And the other thing I did is I just took a piece of about 5 foot of spare cord that I had laying around, and I tied it onto the end of the handle for that stick, and on the other end to a clip of. But the important thing is that we want something that we can tether onto ourselves and still ensure we can reach our arm out and not be encumbered by that. But look how small this is, and it's super easy to put together. Just clicks into place. The last section goes out. Now, if you want to know exactly what I'm using, because it could change, right? I just bought this online. I couldn't even tell you the brand. I will keep details on my website, jrbtreeclimbing.com. If the materials I prefer, let's say I find a better hook or a better stick, or one of you guys suggest better materials by which to construct this, well, we don't need to make a new video every time that happens. We'll just put that on the website. So take a look at jrbtreeclimbing.com, and I will be creating a page dedicated to this, and we'll let the information grow there so I don't have to bombard you with too many videos, nor do I have the time to produce them. So let's give this its maiden voyage. I've got the hitch on the tree here. This is actually a different one. I'm using tape instead of webbing on this JRB Cinch. Affixed the same way. Now I've set it low intentionally just to keep in the field of view. So I'll hook that under, break it, advance it. All right, I'm going to go out of view because yeah, works well. Now I'm not planning on using this to retrieve it, but I can still manage it for a short distance, no problem. Okay, so this will be the stick that I use when I debut the improvements to the JRB hitch climbing method. And of course, if I went with a longer stick, I'd be able to get larger moves. But we've got to balance, you know, how much gear we bring into the woods. And so for me, I can manage this, but you won't see me dragging, you know, a 6-foot pole into the woods. It's just, I'd rather take a couple more minutes and make a couple more moves. Thank you very much for your support as always, and keep those likes and those questions and those comments coming. Thank you.